Are you properly recovering from training? My name is William Grazione. I'm the owner of The Educated Dieter, and today we're answering your questions directly from Instagram DM. The first question we have here is, how can someone truly assess if their body is recovering properly from training? This actually comes from a bikini athlete. So she's likely training 5 days or maybe more per week and likely kind of going back and forth between calorie restriction, calorie maintenance levels, and then probably an off season. So the context here is very important. I wanted to just go ahead and break this down into 4 specific key categories that I think would be very important for you to consider if you're recovering properly. Number 1 is going to be extended bouts of muscular soreness. How long are you staying sore for after a workout? Is it 3 days? Is it 4 days? Is it 5 days? However long it is, you have to monitor this. If you're training legs on a Monday and your legs are still sore on a Friday, then chances are for you at that specific moment in time, you likely just did too much volume. You likely just did too much work, and that placed you into a muscle protein debt. What we need to rethink is how much volume is actually necessary to get the same response so that we can end the week in a net positive, not end the week in a net negative, which would ultimately lead to muscle catabolism. The second thing we want to consider is, did you lose your cycle? Now, low energy availability is very common amongst this specific demographic. We're talking about the bikini athlete. Low energy availability, low carbohydrate availability, and calorie restriction paired with a lot of cardio and too much resistance training can make you lose your cycle. Specifically because your body's under too much stress, and the way that it responds to that stress, it will drop progesterone and thus will reduce LH and FSH, so the signaling to create the menstruation cycle is no longer present. This is how women develop secondary hypothalamic amenorrhea, usually inside of a fat loss phase or a bodybuilding contest preparation. The third thing we want to consider is fatigue carried over from week to week. Do you still feel sore in week number 2 because of week number 1? Are you carrying fatigue from week 1 and 2 into week number 3? Okay, think about this logically. When you get up on Monday morning, do you still feel sore from last week? If you do, then I would strongly encourage you, while you can have the perfect plan on paper, it's likely going to be a better idea to take an additional rest day, maybe do some cardio, some stretching, some ab training, or some accessory movements in the gym, so that your body has more time to properly recover. And then the last and final thing is going to be limitations in active range of motion. Now, granted, these are acute limitations in active range of motion, but nonetheless, I think they are very important. If you're training a muscle, let's say as an example, you're training your legs on Monday, and then you're supposed to train your legs again on a Thursday. If you still have these limitations in range of motion, I'd encourage you to actually take another recovery day. Think about this. Back in the day when people were, and they probably still do this now, but squatting like 3 times a week, training legs 3 days a week. If you train legs really hard on a Monday with enough volume, the following day and likely the following day, when you go to squat down, your body's not going to want to get into those extreme end ranges of motion. That's a good sign that you need to back off and take some more days to recover. Hopefully this helps answer your question. Thanks so much for tuning in. God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.